distribution. Are we streaming yet, Mr. Suncast?
I'm sorry.
We are streaming. Okay. Stand by.
Yeah.
We'll go to
Oh yeah.
guys from Queens.
Oh, they've had really.
They didn't do anything bad. They just said, hey, so and so, so and so.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Oh, man, no, no.
And
The other thing this is they're talking about is STL. So all these things
Okay.
have barracks boxes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not just barracks boxes.
well,
Comp
any of them,
rags,
but-
IP200.
Yeah.
Well,
Highlines, Bridget's.
well, we also need to talk about the fact that I didn't know this until about 2 months ago. I thought you had to push to a barracks box, which implied opening a port.
No, you can pull.
You
You can pull.
Yeah.
And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
if you pull, your security problems are basically solved.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that and so on my stream encoder, I can set up a separate encoder with a non-published, address at a high bit rate. So it's not my public streaming, it's my private streaming. It's 320 kilobits AAC. So it's, as Steve Church would have said, the quality is unimpeachable. It's not perfect, but it's unimpeachable. And so I'll use that as a backup feed to my transmitter site on the barracks box. And that is not convenient. That's not hackable unless you're a government-sized organization.
Correct.
So anyway, let's see. I gotta.
Oh yeah. Well, you constantly have to just try to keep up and play the game and be ahead of everybody there.
We are sharing the show out to places. Let's share this out to a group. Share it to the broadcasting club. And boom. Okay. Hey, it's almost the top of the hour. It's almost time to start the show.
All right. You gonna give an ID?
Top of the hour ID. There's an idea.
But
We're-
Athens radio
Yeah, we're-
station or Augusta radio station.
We're within
hell.
Yeah, we're within 2 minutes.
Well, I think the rules say any natural program break.
That's the current rule.
Yes.
All right.
But then you discuss what is a natural break.
Well, if you're playing Brahms' Fifth Symphony and it started at 10 till, it doesn't get over till 12 after, then you don't have to break in.
I just remember my dad working at WPCF in Panama City, which was 1430, 5 kilowatts. And at about 5:30 every day, they'd go out to the doghouse and they'd wait till the natural braking programming and the announcer would come on and go, "We now pause 30 seconds for a technical adjustment." And the carrier would go dead.
Yep.
And that's when they would read the base current.
Yep.
Yeah. They'd shove it back in and programming would resume.
And what station was this at?
WPCF, 1430.
Gotcha.
Panama City, Florida.
Hey, Suncast, we're about to start. How are our audio levels okay for you from the three different players here? Okay.
Good.
I know you will, because you're awesome. You're awesome. I'm so lucky to have Suncast as our producer. There are so many little tiny sins that he just, what's the word? Absolves. And occasionally a big one. Let's see. The camera's there, so we can either. What's that? What?
The
Yeah.
Pope of TWiRT.
The Pope of TWiRT. That's right. Or at least one of the cardinals.
Wow.
All right. Camera's there with the white light, or we can talk to each other.
Okay.
Either way. All right. And I have very few notes for today's show. We will talk about the Share-a-thon.
We need to definitely do Carathon. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Carathon.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready to go? Almost. What happened to your beverage?
Oh, mine's
Out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on vacation.
All right, here we go, friends. It's This Week in Radio Tech, number 805 for this day, what's today? The 18th?
18th.
Yeah, 18th. June 18th, 2026. I didn't think I'd live this long. I really didn't. What? It's 2026. We put people on the moon how many years ago?
and haven't been able to do it since.
That's right. All right, here we go. We'll start the show in three, two. Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech, the show where we talk about everything from the microphone to the light bulb at the top of the tower. Thank you very much for that. Charles Kinney supplied the light bulb that is in my office for the top
And
of the
the
tower.
current microphones.
And microphones. Jeez, how have I lived without you, Charles?
Probably much better.
Hey, I'm Kirk Harnack. We are in Augusta, Georgia, because tomorrow we are attending, and some of us are speaking at the Georgia Lina. What's it called? I don't know.
Georgia Lina Engineering Symposium.
There you go, the Georgia Lina Engineering Symposium. So welcome in. Glad that you're here with us. We have three different guests today. Two of them are on screen right now. We have Charles Kinney. You're the Director of Engineering at WSB, right?
The big mighty 750.
Are all the lights green?
All the lights are green.
Good.
And we have a fancy new Nautel transmitter, which we love.
Oh,
And we have a fancy DX50 as the backup because that is my buddy. He always comes on.
you've got an FM as well,
I
right?
have a few.
Yeah, a few.
I take care of. We actually just did a really great project over the weekend, changing out a burned up bay on a Shively antenna for WSRV, which is 100 kilowatt FM north of Atlanta that is in the Atlanta market on 97.1. And I have to give props to a guy named Eric Wendell who used to work for ERI and now is consulting on his own. But he was phenomenal and tuning up the antenna. And our tower crew, United Tower, I have to give them a shout out. They were beyond fantastic. And that system has never been better. No leaks. Everything's tuned up perfectly. And it's one of, as of today, one of the top 10 cuming classic hit stations in America.
Oh, really? In
So
America?
Very excited about that.
Wow.
At WSB FM, which is a big AC station, and Kiss 104, which is another FM I take care of. And it's really great to work for Cox.
Wow. You've got a whole bevy of stations there. That's
And
cool.
6 stations in Athens. So
Oh, yeah, that's right. And John George is with us as well. John,
Yeah.
welcome in. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And you have a company called BroadTech.
Yes.
What does BroadTech do?
Well, BroadTech does compliance inspections for radio and TV stations, primarily focused in the Southeast. And we have a couple of national clients where they prefer to have the same inspector for all their stations. And so it's worked out very well. We try to keep everybody in the straight and narrow as far as the FCC rules and regulations go. And most stations are usually in good shape.
Now, you're here at this Georgia Lina Engineering Conference for what reason?
Well, first of all, I kind of share between Georgia and South Carolina and head their engineering committee for each state. And provide expertise, questions, help out radio and TV stations as needs arrive when they have questions, particularly with FCC rules and regulations and logging and other technical issues. And then, just like you are, we're both speaking tomorrow. I'll be talking about compliance inspections and keeping up with the rules and regulations for your broadcast facility.
In fact, part of my presentation is about the importance of keeping up with changing rules and regulations.
Yes.
I should talk to you before I give my presentation. So maybe I should just listen to your presentation. That'll do. And Charles, you're here for what reason at this conference?
I'm here to learn. And I just want to say that I was one of the people that complained, frankly, about the state associations leaving engineering out. And both associations, particularly Georgia, which I'm more involved with, said, okay, well, what should we do? And here we are. And for Georgia and South Carolina to come together and to provide a great association in association with the Society of Broadcast Engineers, or SBE, is a really big deal. It takes a lot to get this going. It's not cheap, and it's amazing that they put this together to try and get people to catch up with technology. And there's not a lot of us coming into this field. It's really a big deal.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Kirk and I think both realize how important it is because we're a group of individuals that we donate our time to the SBE, to the Ennis Foundation, and they have been putting on seminars all across the country for a number of years, and we've kind of been that traveling team. And it's great to see the engineers come out and support the organization because they want to learn. And it's really hard today. In the years ago, you would have 100,000 people at the NAB in Vegas, and everybody, or more. And now it's much, much less. And so we, as a team, have to get that information out to the engineers around the country.
Well, and not just this event. I mean, this is a radio podcast, but this event is not just radio, it's radio and TV. And TV seems to have engineering challenges more than radio does.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
It is, I speak from personal experience.
Because you've got TV right there at the same building.
I do. And then the folks at WSB TV are frankly as good as it gets, but they still have challenges finding people with RF experience. It is a really big deal. And that takes nothing away from them because the folks at WSB TV are network caliber.
We got to take our first quick break here. We'll come back to this topic. Also, John George is going to be talking to us with some help from Charles about some of these new FCC initiatives for cybersecurity. So we're going to get that talked about because there's some things there that you have got to know and take action on if you haven't already, if you're not already doing it right. Our show is brought to you in part by the terrific people at AIR. AIIR.com. All of the sponsors on This Week in Radio Tech, I'm so proud that what they do is they make implementing technology easy or easier. And AIR has come up with an incredible deal on streaming. So let's check that out right now with Ricky Lee.
Hey, it's Kirk Harnack, and I'm here with Ricky Lee, the CEO of AIR. Ricky, you guys make a fantastic automation system, but streaming is a really big deal. Tell me about streaming with AIR.
It really is. We've got a beautiful streaming platform with an incredible dashboard with fantastic analytics. And you can buy it for just $20 a month. All you can eat. No limits on bandwidth or bit rates. And you can also record shows as well. So if you like to deliver on-demand content for $20 a month, you can stream and deliver that on-demand content to an RSS feed that can feed your radio player, your mobile apps, or a podcast that people can download and enjoy.
Now, $20 a month, that must be for just some slow MP3, right?
No, MP3, AAC, and we also now support HLS, which is big in the industry right now.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. How do I start to explore or find out more about streaming through AIR?
You go to air.com, AIIR.com/streaming, and from there, with a credit card, you can sign up and get started.
And AIR does something else, too, that you ought to be interested in. You can be the hero at the radio station by bringing these ideas to management, to programming. And one of those is music scheduling, because AIR.com has a music scheduler that lives online. It lives in the cloud. It doesn't have to live on the hard drive of the laptop of your music director. It can actually live in the cloud. You can do the music scheduling from anywhere. So check that out, too. AIR, AIIR.com. Thanks so much for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, we got several topics to hit, and one of them we're going to hit right now. We're going to start on this, and that is cybersecurity, that the FCC is now going to demand that stations take care of this. John, do you want to set this up for us?
Yeah, there have been a number of instances over the past few years, not only with interruptions with people accessing EAS improperly or illegally, I guess would be the best way to say it, to STLs that are internet-based, very much like, decades ago when we had the incident in Chicago where TV stations, microwave was taken over.
Oh.
But
that happened with our radio stations in Long Island as well.
I did not realize.
Analog STLs are a challenge.
Yes. But the commission is proposing a rulemaking. It should be voted on, I think it's next week at the monthly meeting. And then, of course, it has to go through be published in the Federal Register, and then it becomes a rule after comments and the usual stuff. But
Should I be singing, I'm just a bill, just a whole bill?
but the general idea is sometime within the next 6 months, 8 months or so, that there'll be requirements for every broadcast facility to have firewalls and maintained firewalls on both their EAS equipment and their STL equipment, whether that's internet or however it's delivered from the studio to a transmitter site. And especially the EAS, it's really emphasizing that people go through and get rid of the generic passwords that are on these EAS units. Like password, or admin, those kind of things. Because, we talked about it before going online. You can download Shodan and type in, I want to type in barracks, and it'll run out on the internet and find all the wide open barracks boxes or Sage units or DASDAC or whatever, and you can gain access because the generic passwords are basically published to the general public out there. They're in manuals online.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to make things more secure, which most stations are doing anyway, especially if you're in a large group or a large organization that has an IT department. But where a lot of this is happening is at smaller stations. We had a case in Atlanta, I guess it was probably 4 or 5 months ago, that somebody had taken over the STL, the barracks box, and they were programming all kind of profanity on the air. And nobody knew how to get a hold of the owner. We finally located the engineer and got the station shut down, but somebody had captivated it and really caused an issue.
What I find interesting about this is that, for decades we've had analog STLs in the 950 band, typically in the US 950 band. And the technology existed. If somebody wanted to hack that, if somebody wanted to get an STL transmitter closer to the transmitter site, and I know somebody who's done that, and turn it on, and they'll overwhelm or they could.
We absolutely had that problem.
Yeah.
Cox in Long Island.
Okay. And so, I mean, it's been the fact that a 950 megahertz transmitter has been a little hard to come by for the general public. But if you want to find one, you can.
Oh, it's not hard to find one. You can get on the internet. I mean, these days, it's not hard to find any kind of transmitter.
And
a an old truck with a Marty mast. I mean, you can literally.
But it is so much easier now, especially with the internet.
But now and to be fair, Gates Air, I almost said Harris, but let me tell you, those folks, the HD Link and the current version of HD Link, where it's digital, I mean, that solves a lot of problems, but it doesn't solve all your problems.
And still, there are a lot of units out there that are analog.
Yeah, and the analog, let me tell you,
it's
the
wide
analog thing,
open.
you need to have a way to shut off that feed because it can get hijacked. I mean, I can tell you when I was in, junior high, and this wasn't even a true hijacking, it was just tropo.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
on the code.
all these analog STLs. And my dad was the chief engineer of a station in Panama City.
And what he means by tropo is tropospheric ducting.
Yes.
Where signals end up going a long ways because they get caught in a tunnel.
In a tunnel.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so the station my dad worked for, all of a sudden was being hijacked by a station in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing anything wrong, but it didn't matter. That was what was on the air.
And when we know that happens to FM transmissions that the public receives, but it also can happen
to
the microwave.
absolutely.
We've had a few cases even in Georgia, I think, where An STL up in Northeast Georgia interfered with an STL actually in the
yeah.
Augusta area.
And of course, this happens
Yeah.
with ham radio repeaters.
Oh,
too.
yeah, sure,
Because-
yeah.
So people in the business, people who know about RF and RF transmission and propagation know about this. But what I wanted to bring out is, for decades we've had the analog STLs. Now we have STLs that are IP based,
Yes.
either terrestrial, either via Starlink or via a standard fiber or not DSL anymore, but cable modem connection, whatever, or and my point is that now, because that technology is so ubiquitous in every industry, not just broadcast, now we have best practices that can be effective. The problem is in broadcast or in other industries too, because other industries get hacked, they're not implemented industry wide.
Yeah.
And so the FCC, and correct me if I'm wrong here, they're saying, hey, broadcasters, you need to follow best practices. And
Yeah.
they're available, they're standardized. You may customize them slightly for your situation, but the technology is there to be 99.999% safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And the big problem, you walk in, and I'm not really picking on the small market stations. It happens to large stations as well, too. But you walk into a mom and pop station, they set up their network.
Yeah.
And okay, so we have a computer in each one of the salespeople's office. We have a computer for the receptionist, who is also the traffic director, and of course the general manager, the owner. And they're all on the same network. Well, now with the new transmitters and STL equipment and just really every piece of electronic equipment on the broadcast or the transmission side is IP addressable.
Right.
So you have to have an IP address, and okay, we'll just put it on that network. Well, that's where the problems really come in, because we had an incident here not long ago, it was a couple of years ago, where in a smaller market, where there was an IT company that happened to service most of the businesses in town, and including the city hall and the radio station. And of course,
doesn't exactly sound like an IT service. What kind of servicing was going on?
I don't know, but anyway, they had access to all these all these facilities, businesses, and everything, and they got hacked. So they literally held the town for ransom.
Oh my God.
And so luckily the radio station had insurance, and they wanted them just to pay them off, and then they supposedly corrected the issue. But when you think you're safe, you're not safe.
Well, but the other thing, and this is where the FCC is missing the mark, what they're doing with the EAS, absolutely, I appreciate, and I'm glad they're doing that. But the fact of the matter is, everything can affect your broadcast, particularly RDS.
Yes.
If you don't have your RDS generator behind a firewall, that's a horrible security risk.
It happened in Alabama recently, where profanity was being streamed over an RDS signal on a religious station.
And the fact of the matter is, your modern day transmitters, the transmitter control can be controlled by that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many things. If you don't have your stuff behind a firewall and some actual security, and for the love of God, don't use the default password.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I want to address that for a minute. And I think we're going to see some good positive changes in the industry. As almost everybody knows, for 25 years, I worked with the folks at Telos. And what we discovered is that we started building equipment that was IP accessible. When you sell IP accessible equipment to a major security oriented broadcaster, or a broadcaster that has an IT security department, they're going to do penetration testing on that gear. And they're going to give their feedback to the manufacturer, not just to Telos, but to other manufacturers as well. And they're going to feedback, say, hey, we found this service running on your gear when you delivered it, and we don't want that running because that's unencrypted, like Telnet, for example. A lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of people, so now that has forced the folks at Telos to, just pay more attention to that. Oh, okay.
Not just Telos.
Yeah, sure. Everybody. And for example, on some of their gear where SIP is available as a protocol, the customer that did the pen testing said, "Hey, we want SIP, but we want it turned off by default, not on by default." So now this turn. Now here's what I'm getting at. We're back to passwords. One of the pieces of gear that Telos makes is a micro MPX decoder and an encoder, and it's very likely, not 100% sure, but likely that that MPX decoder is going to be attached to the public internet because that's the most common way to get micro MPX to a transmitter
right.
site. Well, Telos decided, you know what? We're not even going to allow the customer to use the default password. When they turn it on and they log in for the first time with the default password, the first thing they have to do is change the password. They have to, and by God, since this is not, this is likely to be public facing or publicly available if you don't do your router right. It's got to be a complex password.
Yeah.
It is not easily hackable.
Well, and the problem is you got to get people have to understand you can't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or password 1, 2, 3, 4, simplistic stuff like that. It really does need to be a combination of letters and numbers and symbols.
Okay. Let's say this about that. Yes, it needs to be complex, but there's a limit to that.
Yeah.
And I mean, no, because people go crazy with that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes unusable, especially if you put it behind a firewall.
Yeah.
If you put it behind the firewall, then you can have a password that's this big and not this big.
Unless somebody hacks into something else on the same network.
Well, then you didn't do a very good
No,
job.
Hey guys, we got to take our next break, but I want to tell you that I had a piece of equipment hacked and they figured out the password, and now the downside of that is I have got to change the name of my dog. This week in Radio Tech, we're here with Charles Kinney and John George. We're talking about cybersecurity, and Earl is going to be with us in a few minutes. Earl Welsh, he is an expert at technology, especially for broadcasters, aren't you, Earl? Yeah, he's coming. So we're going to have Earl on here in a few minutes. Our show is brought to you in part by Broadcast Bionics and the fantastic Caller One system, which lets you get your callers on the air. Nice phone system, 1 line, 6 lines, bunch of lines. And so check it out right now from Broadcast Bionics.
Caller One is the talk show system that anyone can use and everyone can afford. Live radio thrives on listener engagement, and phone calls play a crucial role by bringing real-time interaction, authenticity, and a true sense of community. But with the rising costs of traditional phone lines, broadcasters need to migrate to SIP. But this has been complex and expensive until now. Caller One makes your move to SIP easy, enabling you to save on line rental and improve call quality while at the same time integrating seamlessly with your existing hardware and workflows. With Caller One's intuitive browser interface, you can answer, screen, and route calls to air from any device anywhere on the network, eliminating the need for expensive dedicated hardware. And it integrates seamlessly with the IP or analog console you already have. It's quick and easy to add notes and flags to callers. And with its built-in database, you can view call history and previous call notes all on one screen. As well as smooth call handling, Caller One records an isolated feed of the caller and presenter for every call, allowing rapid editing and repurposing of content for trails, podcasts, or social media. Flexible licensing allows you to choose 3, 6, or 12 lines, which can even be shared with a second studio. Make the switch to SIP with Caller One for a subscription that is less than the price of the daily coffee run. Get started today at bionics.co.uk/caller1.
Thanks a lot to Broadcast Bionics for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. And remember, they also have their virtual rack system. You can get part or almost all of your radio station virtualized with virtual rack. Check it all out at bionics.co.uk. They make amazing, cool products for us broadcasters, and they're all big market tested. I mean, it's London radio stations that try them out first. So check them out. We really appreciate Broadcast Bionics and the technology that they bring. Makes engineers look good. I like looking good, don't you?
I do.
So sometimes I like say, I don't know how it works, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Earl, welcome in. Good to see you.
good to be here.
Earl Welsh.
Yep.
Tell me about what you do, Earl.
I I have worked for just about everybody in Augusta at some time or another. I'm an independent contractor, so I have a problem. For some reason or another, I can't tell people no.
Well, we care about broadcasting. It's in our blood, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. But I have a primary client that I'm taking care of. They have 30 stations in 4 states, and I have some help, but I don't have a lot of help.
Wow. Wow.
So-
Now, do you do everything from RF to studios to IT or what?
I do everything, but I don't do everything well.
All right. Brag on yourself a minute. What are you good at?
Well, I want to while
Yeah,
I
go
got it in my mind,
Go
I want to
ahead.
bring something up. You guys were talking about the ducting.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not realize I'm a ham.
Yeah.
And we had a presentation at our last meeting on Mesh-tastic. I don't know if you guys know what
Yeah.
that is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's Mesh-tastic and there's Arden, but the ducting actually takes place on Wi-Fi channels, and they're seeing 700-800 mile trips on a Wi-Fi router,
Wow.
and they're able to track it. So, when you start talking about security,
Mhm.
your Wi-Fi is part of that package.
Ah.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know if I went where you wanted me to go or not, but
You know what? Years ago, when I was like early days on the road for Telos, doing SBE meetings and meeting customers, sometimes I would need some internet, and I'd have to do a little war driving, and find me some Wi-Fi. And I swear, 75% of the Wi-Fi hotspots out there had no password on them.
absolutely.
And one time I was given a talk, I don't know, in Rhode Island or somewhere, and I drove into town, and because the restaurant we were meeting at had no Wi-Fi, and I drove into town to the main crossroads, and there's like a bank and a insurance company and something else, maybe City Hall, and I just parked right there, and there was all kinds of Wi-Fi that had no password protection on it, no encryption, and so I needed to get on Telos's FTP site, and I downloaded what I needed.
So you were the ones that's got that bug in it,
Yeah.
Telos' system.
Exactly. But nowadays, almost everywhere you go, everybody's Wi-Fi has a password. It's usually either required or highly encouraged. When you set your Wi-Fi up.
Yeah.
Are people still hacking into Wi-Fi these days?
I think people are hacking into. There are people out there that just hack for fun.
Well, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. We think of it as they're coming after us. They just do it because they're having fun.
Well,
They're not really after anybody in particular. I mean,
Yeah.
is that fair to say?
Oh, I agree. I mean, I do a lot of work on university campus, and of course, they have Wi-Fi for all the participants there on campus.
Yeah.
And trust me, that's the last Wi-Fi I'm going to use because you don't know who's out there, what they're doing, and I actually carry. I don't know if you do, but you and I travel a lot.
Mhm.
But I carry basically it's a little small Wi-Fi firewall that I can activate, log into the hotel's Wi-Fi, and I've got a firewall up there to protect myself because
Yeah.
you don't know. And these things are only like $120, $130 or so. They're not very expensive, but that's the only way you can really protect yourself.
And of course, everything works on internet. You could put everything you got on the internet.
Yeah.
I separate stuff out. I have a audio network.
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
an operating network. I have I try to separate it out. So if they hack into one, they're not into all.
For broadcasters, one of the things that helped us along the last 20 years, and I helped introduce the world of audio over IP through Axia and Livewire to the world,
Fault.
and we told customers that your audio over IP network needs to be probably, unless you know exactly what you're doing, needs to be air gapped from your business network. And now the reason was, yes, in part for security, but also because there is traffic on an AOIP network that there are devices that if they're not qualified, they aren't going to like it.
Yes.
So I've accidentally put audio over IP networks on a business network that had a Wi-Fi hotspot on it, and the Wi-Fi hotspot just keels over and dies. 'Cause it's trying to transmit clock packets and such, and so no, that killed everybody from using the Wi-Fi. So I mean, there's technical reasons why you want those separated. Now, sure, there's high dollar customers that put in literally $250,000 Cisco switch, and they got it programmed right, and they can have audio
I
over
thought we
IP.
were talking about broadcast.
Yeah. Well, but I got stories about that too. But so yes. Now, air gapping is one thing, but also VLANing is other. Can one of y'all address VLANs and how they're used?
John?
Use VLAN a lot, don't you?
Not as much
Well,
as you'd think.
I guess the best way in simplistic terms, because I don't know, your program really covers the whole gamut. It's a secure tunnel that goes from point A to point B.
That's VPN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, VLAN, because
Well,
it's a virtual network. So what you're basically doing is we had
See, he should have stayed in.
yeah, I know. We had VLAN for engineering. We had VLAN for the transmitter sites, and that's where all the transmitter data ran. And of course, we had VLAN for automation. So I mean, you've got to set those networks up, and it provides that secure tunnel, or you hope it's a secure tunnel. But I mean, we had at one operation you're talking about Cisco, we use Meraki firewalls at each point. So
it's basically the same thing that we were saying when we separate all these things out, but when you separate them all out and they're actually on the same physical network. That's basically.
And they work with the same network switch.
So typically, one reason to VLAN is so the sales department doesn't typically need access to the on-air automation systems.
Right.
No.
But both of them need access to the internet.
Yeah.
And maybe the traffic department, that computer needs access with the sales department and with the automation systems.
And the programmers, your program director is going to have access to the automation and
Our music directors.
right.
So
exactly.
It's worth saying that a flat network is certainly the easy way to hook things up, but it's not the most secure.
Absolutely.
Now, and here, even with VLANing, we're not really talking about firewalls. We're talking about logically different networks in the same switch.
Right.
Correct.
And typically, you're going to have multiple network cards in a computer.
No. You can do that
same,
in the switch.
But I like to have separate cards. Yeah.
Now, yes, I do have computers where you've got a computer for the business network and a computer for the AOIP network.
Right.
I mean, a card for the AOIP.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Charles says terminal server.
Exactly.
Or there's another word that often is used, and that's a bastion computer. You ever heard that? It's different than a terminal server. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, tell you what, let's continue our discussion of the FCC's push for security. Number one thing they said, no default passwords. And I know at some of my stations, we have some equipment with default passwords, although those are typically on networks that aren't accessible.
They're not hanging out on the internet.
They're not hanging on the internet for sure. Although they still need to get changed.
But when you get hacked, it'll surprise you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, nobody wants into this.
Well, and oftentimes the hack is that somebody will get into a salesperson who clicked on something they shouldn't have computer, and now if that hacker can get into that salesperson's computer, if that sales computer's got access to the transmitter site and everything else, well, that hacker's got access to everything,
Right.
Exactly,
including and maybe to a computer that backs up to Google Drive.
Oh yeah.
So it could even go outside your walls that the hacker has access to.
Well,
you think you've got a backup, and you do, but the hacker has access to
back
it.
when there was a rash of incidents, we'll call them, with various virus and ransomware and stuff, you'd find a lot of times that the individual or individuals would go in, and the first thing that they would do was limit your access to any backup files. And so you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm safe. They got in, we shut the whole system down. Let me do a backup. Well, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Or that access to that remote site is no longer accessible because you had it all on the same network. So you can't protect yourself enough. And I mean, I've seen incidents where people in Charles chime in from the other side of the room over there if you want to. But I mean, they'll come in and you'll get an intrusion at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you'll think, oh, why is that switch acting funny or something? Must have been a problem we had during the middle of the night. Well, they're going to hit you 2 or 3 times and then they may go away. But they're going to find another incident or another switch somewhere they can get in and might still be on your network, and boom, they're into the whole place.
Well, we got more FCC stuff to talk about in a second, but I'm curious. I see ads all the time for these little computers that are a honeypot.
Oh yeah.
You answered, Earl. What do you know about honeypots?
Well, I've done some work for a station that actually has automation on one of those computers. I mean, it's about like that. It's maybe 4 inches by 4 inches, maybe an inch. Does everything. I mean, it just runs.
Well, I thought the purpose of a honeypot was to look like something valuable to a hacker, and then the honeypot has software that will say, "Hey, somebody's trying to hack me. What do you want to do about it?" That's what a honeypot is. Now,
Well, I need some of those.
and you buy it, plus there's a monthly fee with it. But the idea again being is, hey, I'm going to look like something valuable to a hacker, and so I'll be one of the first things they attack. But there's nothing valuable there, actually valuable. Maybe a bunch of dummy files, but then it has the way to alert the IT department. Hey, they're
An important tale to what John was saying is, if you got stuff that's important, back it up and take it home.
Or disconnect.
Not connect. Back it up and take it home.
So Charles is saying the backup software needs to be able to stop things from spreading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'll put in a good word for one of our sponsors here, and that's Playout One. Playout One will do backups of all your audio and all your logs and everything to a local hard drive. And if you want at the same time, we'll do it like to Google Drive or some other FTP site. But it has built-in. We've a couple times we've noticed, hey, it's not backing up right now, and it should be. And we talked to their support. They said, oh, no, we detect if there's too much activity. And if there's too much activity, we stop it.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, and I don't know if it's an industry standard detection for that, or if it's something that Playout One came up with. But we've had questions about that, and they've said, yep, we can reset that and let it go ahead and do its thing if everything's good. But
even jumping back to the EAS issue, I believe it's DASDAC actually has software built into it for networking. I mean, for a firewall. It's not being utilized, but it's available. I'm not sure that's for publication, but it's definitely out there, and it's something that could probably be turned on very simplistically, for a small fee or assistance or something. So you're going to start to find more and more people are putting in these firewalls that come with equipment. But again, the equipment cost would kind of jump to that for a second. It's not that expensive. The key to it is find something. Ubiquity, for example, not plugging, but they make very expensive equipment. They have a nice edge router that can do everything you need to do. But the key to it then, of course, is keeping it updated with required software.
And the FCC, that's one of the requirements.
Yeah.
If you've got equipment, whether it's EAS or STL and some things they specify, you must have a schedule for updating its firmware.
Still get calls from people that need updated software for their EAS, and there hadn't been a new update in, I guess, a year. And that means that they're not receiving the FEMA tests that come down every week and other issues. But that also means that your box is probably wide open to the world out there if you haven't done those updates.
Speaking of FEMA, I have a radio station where we have the EAS unit at the transmitter site.
Sure.
And for some reason, the transmitter site's fixed IP address was on a blacklist from the company, I forget who Cloudflare, that protects the CAP servers. And so we couldn't get into the caps. Our ES box couldn't get the cap server. And I described this to some friends in Alabama, and they said, "Oh, you got a big problem. You're going to have to get a new IP address." Well, I thought, well, okay, I could do that. That's going to be a lot of trouble. Let me, and I happened to run across, Manny at FEMA,
Yeah.
And I happened to run across a blurb about their tech support. Well, I'll just give them a call. So I called them. Totally competent help.
Wow.
I mean, I was shocked, amazed, surprised. Totally competent help. Described the problem. They said, "Yep, we know exactly what you're talking about." I gave them the IP address that I had that needs to not be blacklisted, and they said, "We'll take care of it." And in 24 hours, we were getting our connection to the cap server was fine. Now, and we had already spent time with Sage's tech support verifying that this was a problem with a firewall at Amazon provided by Cloudflare. I think it's Cloudflare that was causing this problem. So I'd already put a lot of time into discovering exactly what the problem was, and FEMA had it fixed.
That's great.
I was
That is great.
pleased.
That is great. And that's part of the problem when you have an issue like this. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work to figure out exactly who and where and what happened.
Yeah, why are we not communicating?
Well,
Yeah.
just to fix the problem may not just fix the problem. It might just fix it for right now.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. Hey, it's time for take another quick break here, guys.
Okay.
So we gotta do that. And in fact, I think this is when hang on, Earl, don't you leave. I believe I'm going to be chatting here for a minute. Suncast is standing by at the ready. Yeah, we got a couple of sponsors to talk about. One of them is Angry Audio, and I believe Suncast is going to find a picture of the stereo toolbox. And I'm going to tell you my little story here. Do you remember when processing was actually fun? I do. I loved it, adjusting processing in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Well, when dialing your FM air chain felt like tuning a race car instead of negotiating a second mortgage, well, that's the idea behind the Stereo Toolbox from Angry Audio. Stereo Toolbox gives broadcasters bold, punchy, clean, dynamic audio processing for FM and for HD at the same time. It includes advanced dynamics, the rule breaker clipper for loud and clean processing, the perfect clipper for those songs that were mastered with all the subtlety of a belt sander. You know what I'm talking about. Plus RDS. Yeah, RDS encoder is built in. Dual Ethernet connections, browser-based remote control, live wire support, micro MPX encoding. It's all included. Immersive bass, and a lot more. And unlike some big ticket processors, Stereo Toolbox doesn't make you keep feeding the meter for every feature you thought you already bought. One box, one price, it's fully loaded, and it's not $9,000 or $11,000 or even $12,000. Stereo Toolbox is introductory priced at less than $4,000. I'm Kirk Harnack, and as a delighted Stereo Tool user myself, I can tell you this tech and this implementation is really the real deal. Stereo Toolbox from Angry Audio, competition-crushing sound, I can tell you that. Subtle or loud or wherever in between. Practical engineering and just enough attitude to make radio fun again. That's from Angry Audio. Check out Stereo Toolbox from Angry Audio. I love this product. Absolutely do. Thanks a lot, Angry Audio at angryaudio.com for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Also, our show is brought to you by our friends at Max Connect Wireless. And I want to talk to you about Max Connect Technical Services. And the reason I want to talk to you about that is I recently had a chance to visit some radio stations that were either built or rebuilt or refurbished by my friends at MK Max Connect, MK Technical Services. We went to Terre Haute, Indiana, to a smaller radio station, very community oriented, and they needed some new studios built at the transmitter site. And they had a building just big enough to do this. And I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It's wonderful what they've done. And then we went over to Indianapolis and visited Radio One. What a fantastic facility. I'm told now that there are 30 studios there, 30 Some are on-air studios, some are talk studios, some are production rooms, some are network control centers because they run Network Indiana there and lots of newscasts. MK Technical Services can build your studios, rebuild your studios. They can refurbish your transmitter site. They can install a transmitter. Maybe you need better remote control than what you've got now. Maybe what was in there was fine 15 years ago, but now it's a little outdated. MK Technical can come in and do a one-time project. They can do a continuing servicing for you. They can give you, you can use them as a sounding board, like a second opinion on what you need to do to get your radio station really up to snuff. I highly encourage you, if you're a station owner, hey, if you're an engineer and you're just too busy to take care of something that needs to get done, MK Technical can do it. And by the way, in about 10 days from now, I'll be doing a project myself in Tennessee with my colleagues from MK Technical. We're putting in all new digital STL systems for a really good broadcaster in Tennessee. So check them out at Max Connect is the website. Max Connect. I know it's spelled funny. MAXXKONNECT. MaxConnect.com. Thanks a lot, Max Connect, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. We're here with John George and with Earl Welsh. John, where should we head next on this FCC topic? That is supposed to be our main topic here. We talked about no default passwords. That's not allowed. Will the FCC check that and fine you if you have a default
Well,
password?
that's been a conversation that a number of ABIP inspectors have been talking about is how do you go into somebody's network and check it if they require that? So I'm not sure how that's going to be. I think there'll probably be a certification process where there was some discussions on an annual basis or at license renewal where the station certifies that they have met all the requirements of security and certify accordingly, like they do a lot of other stuff. But it's going to be interesting. It'll be like EAS. I'm sure there'll be some people that still don't have EAS units out there and have not gotten caught by an inspection. And there'll be people that will still keep their generic passwords out on the internet until somebody attacks.
I'll admit when I first heard of Shodan.io, that website that just pings everybody over time and identifies what comes back in those pings. And Shodan's not doing anything illegal. You could do this yourself. It's that they put it in one convenient convenient location.
Yeah, very convenient.
And Jeff Welton always talks about this, how many Nautels he sees.
Yeah.
Fewer and fewer, but I know we always mention barracks boxes, and probably one reason is the barracks codecs, the encoders and the decoders, have always been viewed as the lower cost range in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea there is probably they are purchased by stations that have a very low budget, and they got a very low budget, and that means they may not have an IT person, or it may be somebody from what used to be the local TV shop, that's now in the computer business, and all they want to do is make it work. Well, if all you do is make it work, you probably haven't thought about the security on that thing. And one thing I was going to touch on, excuse me for yapping so much here, because I just discovered something myself in the last 2 months. We had on a private network, we had a Pico brand, which is a barracks inside, actually, a Pico encoder and a barracks decoder, and they were on a private network. Well, the encoder quit working, and I needed to get audio to this was on a backup transmitter, actually, and kind of an N+1 deal,
right?
And I needed to get audio and I thought, well, am I going to have to open firewall ports and push this? Then I figured out, wait a minute, the barracks, most people use it as we push a stream to it, but it can also just receive a stream that's out there on the internet.
Yeah, you can get it to pull.
You can get it to pull, exactly. And when you get it to pull, you don't have to open a port. A port is automatically opened, and it's a random port, and it only will firewalls if you reach out from inside the network through the firewall to an outside place like a stream server. That firewall will only allow packets to come back from that IP address that you asked for. So if you're at a third IP address trying to push something in there, it don't work.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the default behavior of a firewall. And I know there's exceptions to that, but you buy most firewalls, and that's exactly the way it's going to work. So what I'm saying is that's pretty secure. So anyway, I put the barracks remotely. I put it in the mode where it's going to pull the stream, and I gave it the stream location. I have an encoder, high bit rate, sounds good, and pulled the stream. Solved the problem. Got around the Pico that died, and now I still have a secure way of doing that. I'm sorry, I've been yapping so much.
Yeah.
Is there
Well,
more you want to add?
but no, really, we did say barracks, but I mean, all of us have Comrex. We have
Island.
tie lines, Gates Air with
Yep.
their Intraplex. I mean, they're all the same type of Unix. Some just offer a lot more features, maybe more reliability, maybe redundancy than the barracks might. So not picking on barracks because they really do a good job, but any of these units, if they're not set up securely, you're going to have the same thing happen. It doesn't matter what they are. So
I almost, and I'm not disparaging barracks in any way at all. That a lot of times they're like the usual suspect, but what's really the usual suspect is the budget
yeah,
that's been allocated.
Absolutely.
it's a budget
to do
issue.
it.
Absolutely.
And it's also a user issue because,
Yeah.
it could be the least expensive thing out in the market and it works like $1 million. But if you don't put, secure passwords out there and set it up behind a firewall, there's nothing going to save it. And you can't blame barracks.
You
can't
got
blame
you got
Tylenol.
mom and pops out
Yeah.
there that have equipment running, and when you start talking about firewalls and password, like, what are you talking about? I just go over here and log on to the internet.
Yeah.
They don't even think about that until something happens to
Yeah.
them.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I mean, there are a lot of small mom and pop radio stations
Oh, yeah.
scattered all over the place out there. And as John said, some of them have EAS boxes that haven't been updated.
So they're no longer getting the caps messages if they haven't been updated.
And a lot of it's just because they're just not in tune with what's happening everywhere else in the world.
I'll repeat what I said earlier. Maybe you can riff off of this. The good thing about the whole world of doing this with Internet Protocol, IP, is that there are best practices, both for the manufacturer of the equipment and the software that's in it, and the implementation of manufacturers' equipment into your network. There's best practices that are pretty well recognized, and there may be several ways to skin a cat. There may be several ways to protect something. And by the way, that I meant to say earlier, a lot of times security is thought of in rings of security, right? And your first ring is a firewall, which almost everybody's got a firewall. But what have you done to that firewall to make your life convenient?
Oh, I'd say a lot of people don't even have firewalls.
Well,
I mean,
how do you hook to the internet without a firewall?
well, you don't need a firewall. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now, 30 years ago, we built a radio station in Samoa, and the government there, which ran the internet company, gave us we said, what's our public IP? Oh, we're going to give you 5. You got 5 public IPs.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know what a firewall was. I had an Ethernet switch, and the computers had 5 different IP addresses. And in about 4 months later, our audio vault had been hacked, and all of the C drive was deleted, but the D drive where all the audio was
Now
okay.
we're back to the mom and pop
Yeah.
again. That's exactly where we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got it's working. We think everything's good,
Uh-huh.
and it's good until it's not.
I mean, you think about it. Internet provider comes in. Okay, here's your jack on the wall. Plug into that, and the local guy says, "Well, you don't need anything. Just good." Yeah, that's exactly right. And life is good. Or you run down to Walmart or some other Target or some other place, and you pick up I want wireless in my building, so I get a combination wireless router, and it hooks to and there's really no security in there. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, there is some semblance of a firewall, but that's how these things all happen.
So anyway, what there are best practices in the industry for whether you're a Soho business, a small office, home office type, like many radio stations are, or if you're a big organization. We're going to bring Charles Kinney back in a few minutes after the last spot set and talk about what a big company like a Cox Media does.
Well, he can't talk about that.
Well, he's not going to tell us the passwords.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Earl,
Okay.
before we let you go, well, you have a good piece of advice for our listeners. For you, what have you been doing lately that like, hey, I discovered this, and more people should know about this?
I discover stuff every day, but I think the best thing that you can do is get with a group of people, whether it's your local group or whether it's another. Talk with your friends out there, find out what they're experiencing, because it's going to hit somebody before it hits the next guy. And if everybody talks about it, the management in a particular area, sometimes they don't want they don't want their engineers to talk because they're scared that they'll give away secrets. If you got an engineer that's not smart enough to keep your secrets, you better get another engineer. But all of that networking and talking to each other is a wonderful thing. It's a good thing to help keep you on top, because you can't read everything. You can't listen to everything, but the other guys can say, "Hey, I had this problem. You need to address it." It's a wonderful thing. Just like the seminars. The seminars are a wonderful thing.
So I hear you saying that interacting with other broadcast professionals is one
Right.
of the best things that you can do.
Right.
I agree completely.
And I don't care who you are, you can't be the best at everything.
Yeah.
You just can't,
Yeah.
Good engineers are becoming hard to find. Wow. I think we just lost power.
General Store. Be right back. How's that sound? Okay, great. Thank you. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay. And so we're going to do, no, I want you here right now.
Okay.
And then during the spot, we'll swap.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. We'll recover in 3, 2. Well, that was fun. We've got a big storm traveling through Augusta, Georgia right now. The engineers in the room, their remote control notifications have been, hey, I'm off the air, I'm off the air. And so our internet, power went out, internet had to reboot. Right now, I'm actually using a Max Connect box to get me some internet right now instead of the hotel Wi-Fi. Hotel Wi-Fi has been great, but it takes the router forever to reboot. So here we are. Hey, it's This Week in Radio Tech. We're here with John George and with Earl Welsh. Earl, whatever we were talking about, we're gonna have to take it. We're gonna have to go and come back after the spot. Okay,
That'd be great.
all right. Earl's been our guest here as well, and Charles Kinney's coming back to tell us a couple more things, including an amazing remote that WSB does every year, and we're gonna try to broadcast live from that coming up in a few weeks. So hang it. We're gonna try to make that happen. All right. It's This Week in Radio Tech, and our show is brought to you in part by Broadcasters General Store and their terrific equipment from Vox Pro. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's happening? St. John here, coming to you from Command Central, and wanted to tell you about the absolute best partner you can have in radio. I'm talking about, boom, Wheatstone's Vox Pro. Now, a lot of folks have used previous versions of Vox Pro, all awesome, but I want to tell you about some of my favorite new features in 7. And for folks who've never used Vox Pro before, I'm about to tell you why it's an absolute game changer and essential for really fast-paced multi-element radio. Lots of different audio software out there. Why Vox Pro? Because it was designed for radio. It's the only software designed to do what we needed to do, which is record, edit, playback in real time. When I say lightning fast, I'm going to show you how fast you can edit stuff up in Vox Pro right now. So literally 3 clicks on the controller, mark left, mark right. Everything that gets marked, you hit delete, it goes away. It's literally that fast. So we're going to take this part right here. Boom. From caller 9 to him saying, I'm ready.
5, ready for that secret sound.
Boom. All of that stuff, hit delete, it goes away. Here's your edit.
You are tackling secret sound, caller 9. I'm ready, St. John.
One of the best features of version 7, this is awesome. It's effects macros, and you can literally put a chain of effects together so that instead of having to normalize a phone bit and then use noise reduction on it and EQ it and all that, you can literally build a chain. One button, this one's called call right here. I just click that. All of those processes happen instantaneously. Literally saves 80% of your editing and cleanup time. Final thing that I love about Vox Pro, and there's so much more to get into, but one of my favorite things, you can load it on a laptop. I've literally done my show from a hotel room in Armenia to the conference room at, this was fun, jury duty. Great thing, no one could tell the difference. Vox Pro makes it totally easy. Telling you, if you're looking for the best on-air partner, call my friends at Wheatstone, ask them about Vox Pro, and you will be glad you did.
And the way to get Vox Pro is to actually call Broadcasters General Store at 352-622-7700. Their website, bgs.cc. Their website has just been terrific. You can get quick pricing there. And if you talk to them, they'll tell you about delivery. And they've just got a great back-end system there at Broadcasters General Store and wonderful people to order from. Love these guys at Broadcasters General Store. Thanks a lot for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, we've only about 5 minutes left. Charles Kinney has rejoined us. Charles, Marathon, what is that, and why is the world's tallest remote boy so interested in that?
So one of my favorite things about working at WSB, and there's a lot over the last 27 years, but we do so much community service work for a radio station that's owned by a huge company. And this event we've been doing this will be the 26th year. It's called Carathon, and it's in association with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And we literally broadcast for 2 days from the hospital, from Children's Hospital. Last year, we actually raised $2.5 million for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. This is folks that bring their children in that have cancer or other, horrible illnesses. This isn't where you go when you break your arm.
Yeah.
This is where you go when you really, really need help. Excuse me.
It sounds like this is on the order of a St. Jude's.
Or bigger.
or bigger. Okay.
It's certainly for bigger from an Atlanta standpoint.
Yeah.
And we take the radio station and we take it to the hospital and we broadcast from there for 2 days. And we have multiple people and on air, all the on air talent, producers, guests, you name it. And it's an amazing production that my group puts on, along with, of course, the on-air talent who's going to say we deserve some credit, and the programming folks, the promotions folks. It's unbelievable. And so I really would love it if you could come out, you could be a part of that, watch that, interview some of the people that are involved. It's an amazing broadcast that is just something that I never thought I would get to be part of in my career.
This is in July? July what?
Yeah, end of July, I believe it's July 23 and 24, maybe 22 and 23. It's the end of July.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
It's a Thursday and Friday, and it will just make you feel good. It'll make you feel great about what you do in the business.
If that's the date, if it's going to be around July 23rd, I can be there and we can do a torch show from there and see behind the scenes, especially
Correct.
how you put together, bring the whole radio station out to a hospital.
We do indeed. And I just want to say one thing related to this. People may say, oh, well, you're using VNC or something. VNC is bad. Yeah. Okay. When you're talking about network security, VNC is bad. And the other thing that people need to be aware of with network security, and I know a little bit about this firsthand, is you need things on your network, on your machines, that keep things from spreading laterally. Big deal. So there's software like Carbon Black, CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike kind of got a black eye because they did an update that caused a lot of grief. But generically, that is very good software. And there's other software like that. So that if a machine gets infected, then the software on the network says, this is bad, stop.
Stop, yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise it can spread and there's nothing, once it gets a set of credentials, there's nothing to stop it.
Right.
And that's a really big deal. VNC is a great tool. VNC to the open internet is horrifically bad.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how many people, not just broadcasters, but just in general, are using VNC on the open internet.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a recipe for disaster.
Yep. It's easy to find it and easy just to try all kinds of passwords to get into somebody.
Oh, there's some people that have no password.
Yeah. Right. You can easily set up with no password. That's the default.
That's again, back to the default problem.
Yeah. No, there's other remote access softwares. Now, what if a group wants to use VNC internally, computer to computer?
It's
with
great,
no outside access.
But it's got to be behind the firewall. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, VNC is like nuclear power. It can be used for good and evil.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a thing. But anyway, I just wanted to get that in. But I really hope that you can come down for Carathon. It is one of the most amazing events you will ever be part of in broadcast radio. And WSB actually just won the Spirit of America or the NAB Crystal Award.
Yeah, Crystal Award. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a really big deal. We had never won that. That was the only big NAB award we'd never won.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you did.
This is a radio station that's been on the air for 104 years.
Wow.
And so it's a really big deal, and we want you to come down and see how we do it. It's amazing.
We've got to go right now. We're out of time. John George, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you. Charles, thank you. Earl, thank you, sir. And I want a big thanks to Suncast, who was stayed with us through the power outage we had. So thank you for stitching the show back together. And so we got to run. We're going to be in Atlanta, apparently, on July 23rd. So appreciate that. We'll be broadcasting there. And we got another great show for you next week. Tell your friends, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. Get automatic updates. And we would appreciate that very much too. Plus, visit our sponsors because they make the show possible. I promise you, without them, I couldn't do the show. We'll see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye.